Joe Arnett.
Graffiti was not removed as stated on CRM number 362877, date closed March 14th, 2010. Not so fast. Why do I find that some, if not many, work orders for graffiti abatement in the city of San Bernardino are closed without the work actually being completed? This is a major issue for other residents I've spoken with and calls into question the trustworthiness of the crews and supervisors responsible for ensuring the work is completed accurately and in a timely manner. Originally, when I first experienced CRMs being closed and the work not completed, I assumed this was an isolated mistake or oversight. It has now occurred with enough frequency at this point that I no longer believe this to be the case. I'm very troubled by the fact that there isn't more concern from within the street department by Councilman Charette or the mayor and the city manager. To date, I've submitted over 875 CRM requests, and this continues to occur after many months now of reporting and checking.
Excuse me, Mr. Arnett, I stopped the clock because Mayor, I don't think his comments are germane to the item.
Yes, I'm getting to that.
The
Thank
subject
you.
matter is item 10.
I understand. I'm getting to that.
All right.
This lack of accuracy and oversight is unacceptable in my view. Voters may remember that Mr. Charette pledged to make sure residents get the most bang for their buck. This is a financial matter. How's that working out? He promised accountability and he ensured transparency because this money could be spent to retain these employees and not furlough. When he voted to more than double the cost of this program to taxpayers, and from what I can tell, you sit silent, hold no one accountable, continue to waste money, and have not as much as even publicly requested an update on this program. I wonder, Mr. Charette, if your idea of getting the most bang for our buck, I'll remind you, taxpayer buck, is to spend another $150,000 on a frivolous charter amendment. There are laws governing frivolous lawsuits. There ought to be laws governing frivolous taxpayer waste. I don't suppose you're concerned about this either. In fact, you continue to vote for more and more of these frivolous expenditures instead of spending on real priorities focused on improving the quality of life for residents, retaining these general unit employees, and keeping our streets safe from criminals and other degenerates. This $150 could be spent on better priorities, even stemming from your own council retreat on things like libraries, parks, fixing a pothole, fixing a street light, for example, the one on the south side of the bridge at Valencia and the 210, or helping better fund CID. All of these things would actually do something for the good of this community. Fix a sprinkler in a park, snake out a sewer as winter flooding approaches, put a sidewalk ramp in, or fix a broken curb. CRM number 198-419-821. These are all, frankly, there are all kinds of smaller deferred maintenance projects throughout the city that these employees manage
Your time is up, Mr.
that would
Arnett.
benefit from targeted spending on real priorities. Ms. Clark, I figured you'd say that eventually, and with respect due to the mayor and to this public process, I'm going to go ahead and finish my comments. Frankly, until I see rules for enforcing a speaker's time that applies equally and fairly to everyone who comes to this podium, I may continue to run over time in the future also. I believe there was a gentleman by the name of Warner Hodgson here who spoke for about 7 minutes last week. All this talk about modernizing the charter language and realizing the better efficiencies is frankly an intangible, wild unknown with no outcomes, and Mr. McNeely can't even qualify these comments when he was asked to do so by Councilman Kelly at the last meeting.
Additional time do you need, Mr.
Most
Arnett?
people care about what's happening.
How much additional time do you need, Mr. Arnett?
Oh, you're having me removed?
No, I'm not. I'm asking a simple question. How much?
I won't take any more time than Warner Hodgson did last week.
Mr. Arnett, we have a 3-minute rule.
I know, and that applied for all speakers to come to this podium, including him last week. Isn't that correct?
Mr. Arnett, if you can wrap your comments up in the next few seconds, let's do that, and then we'll come back in public comment.
Do I need to fill out another speaker slip?
Well, yes, you do.
Because I can do this in secession.
Okay, is there any reason the police officer has to stand next to the speaker and intimidate him that way?
No, Mr. Arnett, if
Mr. Hodgson was afforded 7 minutes with no...
Your Honor, the law requires that you read the warning that's in your desk before you have a speaker arrested.
I am not having anybody arrested.
Your Honor, you are in control of this meeting.
That officer just put his hands on me.
I am in
Your Honor, you've been given a statement that you have to read before you have the police arrest and remove anybody.
I am,
You know that, sir.
Mr. Penman, I am not having anyone
All I'm
arrested.
doing here, Mayor, is asking to
I'm
have the
simply
same
asking
courtesy
you
that you gave other speakers last week.
To wrap
You want
up,
me to bring in the tape? I can show you. He spoke for well over 7 minutes. Frankly, this is cutting into all these people's times. If you would just let me finish, I'd probably been done by now.
well, if you would wrap it up in the next few seconds.
Fine,
we can
thank
get
you.
it
All
done.
this talk about modernizing charter language to realize better efficiency is frankly a wild intangible with unknown outcomes. The city manager, Charles McNeely, can't even quantify these himself when he was asked to do so by Mr. Kelly last week. Most people care about what's happening in their backyard, like the 2 recent gang shootings in the last 3 weeks on the 40th and Sierra area, than they do about the political structure of this city. And Mr. Charette, you sit here and you have no comments during your opening remarks, even requesting an update from the police department for the public's benefit. And you wonder why voter turnout's so slow. It's got so low. It's got a lot to do with the fact that residents feel disenfranchised because those they elect are more concerned with protecting their power structure than they are with actually fixing the broken problem streets, parks, and sidewalks in neighborhoods in our communities that these employees are mostly responsible for doing. I digress a bit, however. The costs for a graffiti abatement have more than doubled when city crews were
Mr.
hired.
Arnett, how much longer do you have with your comments, sir?
I got 2 more pages. The taxpayer bill for graffiti abatement now
Mr.
tops
Arnett.
$1 million, and that price tag, there is an expectation that the
Arnett.
graffiti would be removed within 24 to
I'm going
48
to-
hours. Now, I do recognize some
I'm going to
incremental
advise-
improvements
Mr.
in
Arnett.
time to respond,
I'm
but
going
there
to
is
advise
still
you
way
now
too much graffiti and
that
blight
Penal
and trash
Code
throughout the city of San
403
Bernardino, and it remains there
provides
for
that
way
every
too long.
person who, without authority of law, willfully disturbs or breaks up a public assembly or meeting, not unlawful.
Be happy to turn in another speaker slip. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are now back to item number 10. We need a motion on this matter. Is there a motion? Move approval. A motion and a second, Mr. McNeely.
There's some more speakers, so.
I have no more speaker slips.
Well, they're walking up to the podium to speak.
Excuse me, Mayor, I did not hear who made the motion or the second.
I made the motion.
A motion and a second.
As we wait for the next speaker to come forward, Mr. City Manager, I'm requesting a point of clarification regarding the process that we just went through. It was my observation that before the mayor read the declaration and informed the speaker that the chief of police continued in the back of the auditorium and is now in the present location it is now, and was directing an officer to go forward to the public speaker's podium.
Yes.
And if that is the case, I want to know what our procedure is regarding that prior to the mayor or the chair of this dais reading those procedures. I want to make sure that we don't have that unfortunate incident again where an officer is put in a terrible position being directed by the chief to go forward to the podium. And I believe it was a misinterpretation of the hand motion from the chief, is why the officer put the hands on the speaker. But I want to make sure that this council clearly understands what our policy and procedures are regarding that, and that everyone is aware as to, one, that direction needs to be taken after the reading. Perhaps the city attorney can also advise this council as to what the correct procedures and steps are, so that we don't find ourselves in any kind of embarrassing situation.
Well, Your Honor, if I may respond.
Yes.
I've spoken to the chief, and the chief and I are in agreement as to what the procedure is, and we just talked, and he understands what the procedure is, and I think we're okay. Your Honor, unfortunately, you haven't had the string of problems we had here many years ago with speakers who kept going over and speaking on other subjects. And the law, of course, at that time was carefully researched, and we prepared the admonition that we have to read before we do it. And I know that's something you're not having to deal with, so I understand why that happened. But I just had a few words with the chief, and he explained to me what his knowledge of the law is, and he's right on point, so I think we're okay.
Thank you very much.